Our topic is 20 plus years of experience between us. It's more than 20 years of experience that we've had. And we're going to talk about the biggest lessons we've learned as coaches.
What moves your business forward is one of the major components is your network. And I wrote it, network beats social media all like anytime, especially in the beginning stages, in the first six or multi-six figure of your business. And it's been true for me and so many coaches I know.
There's risk of doing that because like first, when you start doing coaching, you don't understand what you don't understand. You don't know what you don't know. Same thing about business. You don't know what you don't know, and you're taking risks with your livelihood.
To your consistency in reaching out to people. Make it a consistent practice to reach out to at least 20, 30 people every week. And follow up with each of them multiple times, at least 4 or 5 times. Reach out to 20, 30 people and follow up with each of them multiple times.
Hey, it's Daniel, and you are about to watch a clip from our free podcast, The Coach's Journey, where we help you navigate the surprisingly difficult path of building a coaching business by people who are actually doing it. And we go live, raw, and unedited every week in our free Facebook community. Coaches Nation, welcome to another edition of The Coach's Journey podcast. I'm Daniel, and I'm here with Faisal, and we have been doing this podcast for a long time, and we're exploring topics about coaching. Today, our topic is 20 plus years of experience between us. It's more than 20 years of experience that we've had. And we're going to talk about the biggest lessons we've learned as coaches. And maybe there's other lessons too, but we've tried to distill a few of them for you today. And I'm really excited to get into this with Faisal because I'm going to learn from him today too. And hopefully, if you like this podcast, share it with other coaches because they're probably thinking about what are they learning in their coaching business. And if you're thinking about what are you learning in your coaching business, you might hear some familiarity here from what we're sharing, but you might also know other coaches who need to hear what we're talking about today. So I encourage you to forward this on. But Faisal, let's get started. It's been a decade plus for both of us. We've known each other for about a decade, more than a decade now. It's been a journey.
Yeah. And I look forward to hearing your lessons because we don't know about each other's lessons. So this is going to be live raw. Maybe it'll align, maybe it won't.
There may be some overlap and maybe some differences, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, there might be differences or there might be similarities as well. But the first thing I want to share is that, and this will be 11th year I'm in the coaching practice. It will be 11th year this summer. And it doesn't feel like 11 years. It went by so fast. But the first few years, paradoxically, it felt like a decade. The first couple of years, and this, I always tell my kids this, that it's like when they're like, how long will it take? What time are we doing? I'm like, listen, time is relative to your experience.
Are we there yet?
Are we there yet? If you're having fun, it'll go by really fast. If you're not, it will feel like forever. So go get yourself busy with something.
Which is so ironic. Like we want to really enjoy these experiences. When it's going fast like that and you're in flow, you're really enjoying it, right? That's like what we really want. You want the coaching business to feel like it's just flowing and enjoyable, right?
Yeah. But I mean the reality is there are risks. There are real risks to our life, and it's difficult, it's challenging. So we don't want to pretend like, oh, it's been such a smooth journey to 10, 11 years. It's been tough at times, and even it's been tough even in the later years. There have been so many economic changes that has happened. I don't know what COVID was going to bring. I didn't know what this economy was going to bring. I didn't know what was happening before that. All of them have brought all kinds of ups and downs. We've had to pivot and understand how to navigate. And now with all the stuff around AI, new technology, economic changes, all businesses have to deal with that, including a coaching business. So it hasn't been easy, but there have been some lessons that have stuck out that for me, those are like timeless principles. Like they will apply to you in the future just as they do now. And they will, if implemented and they become a part of your day-to-day execution, you will carry that with you into any business, not just this kind of business, but also not just business, into life, because it teaches you a lot about how life operates too. A lot of things we think are true, they're not until you start experimenting with certain things. So do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
Well, that's a good segue into one of my first lessons here, which is that like the concept of building a coaching business is like kind of about a lot of things, but it's also about business, which is an interesting lesson to learn. When I started going to the coaching world, I wanted to coach, but I didn't really want to business. Like I wanted to like know, but I always thought business was cool. I wanted to be an entrepreneur of some kind, but I didn't really understand what that meant. Like I didn't know what business was. And so like when you're building a coaching, I'll even call it a coaching practice, you have to have a business mindset. It's one of the biggest lessons from the beginning. It's like, oh, I was just trying to like help people, but if you just try to help people, you will not be able to do it sustainably. And so the best part about it being a business thing is that it's about sustainability. It has to be sustainable, otherwise you don't get to keep on doing it, right? So there's a financial piece of sustainability. Absolutely, there's money to be made so that you can keep on doing it and pay your bills and all that. But there's an emotional sustainability too. There's like a business mindset about sustainability that's really um, enveloped everything that I do in my coaching business. And because it's a business, like you said, there's risk in there, and it's hard. There's risk of doing that because like first when you start doing coaching, you don't understand what you don't understand. You don't know what you don't know. Same thing about business. You don't know what you don't know, and you're taking risks with your livelihood, potentially with your confidence, with a lot of things. And early on, I was taking risks with my relationships because I didn't know how to communicate in a way with people around me about around my coaching, or even the service that I could offer them. So like everybody was a potential client, and so like there's risks you have in business that it's about your framing and your communication abilities, but there's emotional and financial sustainability questions that are really really important. Like and you like it's like the big lesson in business is it's a long-term game. And you build it relationally, you're building up your network, especially in coaching. You're building it relationally to build up your own network and other people's networks. That's really the fundamental lesson in coaching, and that I would say I only learned that in the last probably 5 years, which is like it's really about relationships and being able to build up your network and theirs in a way that helps everyone. And the nice thing about this is the segue was that this skill transfers across your life and across any other roles that you play in your life. Being able to just like have that value building, relational building mindset. That's one of the big lessons that I took away. I don't know if that makes sense for you
I
too.
heard two lessons there.
There's more than
One
one in
was
there.
one was this the business sustainability question, and that was my thought process as well. I just want to help people, and I kept saying that over and over. But then the hard reality was I had to ask, like, well, do I want to make money doing this? Of course, the answer was yes, but it was hard for me to face that. And then I had to
Yeah.
am I doing this as a volunteer thing? And that was a choice. I could do that. But no, that's not why I jumped in. I wanted to turn this into a vocation. I wanted to turn this into something that I would dedicate myself. And mainly, one, I wanted it to support my lifestyle, and two, I didn't want to do anything else. This is what I cared about. Like this, I wanted my time to go to this when it was my work time, whether it was 6 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours of my day. I wanted to dedicate it to the thing that I care about the most, which was my own behavior, my own nature, and I wanted to understand other people, and I wanted to understand the world around me more. And that was my research the past decade before that, and I wanted to understand. And I'm like, this is going to help me. Like, why would I do anything else? So to make that sustainable, I had to face the question of, well, how am I going to make this sustainable? Because if I can't make money, I'm going to have to go get another job or get into another business or something else, and then all my time is going there. And that's why I quit my engineering career to begin with, because it would have taken all that time and energy to do that. So why am I not making money in this? So that's one lesson. Second lesson I heard there was, which is one of my lessons, is network, is that it's actually what moves your business forward is one of the major components is your network. And I wrote it, network beats social media all like anytime, especially in the beginning stages, in the first six or multi six figure of your business. And it's been true for me and so many coaches I know, is that your network, as you add value to your network, will expand your business in ways that you don't know yet. And we're, as human beings, we're really bad at understanding compound effect. We don't understand the compound effect of even something straightforward as finances. You go find a compound interest calculator, and put the numbers of your investments or put the numbers of your credit card in there. You'll be shocked what happens 5 years, 10 years. Even if you understand the concept behind it, you will not believe the numbers. It's like, huh, my mind is, and the same thing, your actions of network, like you connecting with people, it compounds over time. Your skill sets and connecting with people will compound over time, and that's where a lot of the money comes in your business. And that connects to understanding relationships, understanding influence, understanding how you can build long-term things. Did I hear that correctly?
Yeah, I think we're pretty aligned on that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Some people say your network is your net worth. I think that's a better, as a coach,
yeah,
I think like, the relationship aspect of it is so important that like it's actually sometimes a little more important than the financial aspect because the financial aspect is a byproduct of the relational aspect if you do it in a certain, sustainable way.
yeah. Yeah, and there was I think it might have been Warren Buffett who said that. Is like, you take all my everything away, all my money away, within 5 years I'll rebuild all of it. And his confidence was on two things: his abilities and his network.
Yeah, I love that. And I think another piece of business that comes to mind is like, there's a time in my life where I had a trouble thinking about business, like businesses being a good thing. Like if you're thinking about business as a bad thing, as like people who run businesses are greedy, well then you have to think about that because if you're wanting to run a coaching practice or coaching business, you have to reconcile that question. And yes, there are people in business who may be unethical, but there are also people who are very ethical. And you can definitely run a business. It's about value and it's about ethics in the best cases, right? So if it can be done that way, it should be done that way. And if you do it that way, you're actually building a sustainable competitive advantage over time as you build trust. So
Yeah.
business is a really, really big part of coaching, I think.
So that's such a powerful point, and it's not just about business. So I actually struggled with that heavily because I had spent the past decade like trying to grapple the moral questions around capitalism, money, profit,
Yeah,
again, you get influenced by all kinds of thoughts, and I hadn't experientially lived a lot of it either. I never had a business, so I was answering him from a philosophical point of view, from a moral standpoint. And then I had this perception that corporations were negative, and I have to register a corporation here. There, oh, my camera. So I need to register and become a corporation or build a corporation. And deep down, I think they're evil. I have to
yeah,
go make money,
exactly.
or I want to make money, but deep down, I know it creates corruption. And that's based on my own conclusions from what I heard. I need to go sell when I think salespeople can be corrupt. I need, like, it was like layers upon layers of like thoughts and beliefs I had built that I needed to kind of it forced me to face all of that. I'm like, well, how am I going to do this if my deepest
Totally.
beliefs about this is a problem?
You're gonna have resistance.
Yeah, and there was huge resistance, and I had to ask myself, and I actually asked a client today because at the end, like after 30 minutes of a call, I asked her, I'm like, everything you've shared is the darkness within and outside the world. Like I don't disagree that there is darkness in the world, there is unfairness, there is injustice, but do you see that 90% of your thoughts over that, and that's what you're getting affected by? And she had to really step back and think about it. It's like, I'm like, where is that coming from? It wasn't actually coming from the darkness in the world. It was coming from the immediate problems in her life.
Which are projecting darkness into her vision of other things, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And vision of everything, because her mind was just picking up on everything dark. And that's very easy to look at, for example, capitalism and say it's evil. But it also has created a lot of opportunities for people. It has both sides to it. In fact, one of my favorite lines from Harry Potter is like from the movie. I think it's in the book as well. I don't know if I remember it from the book, but in the movie, there's a scene when Harry Potter is talking to his uncle, well, his godfather. What's his name? I forget. Anyway, he's
Sirius,
talking.
Sirius Black? Talking about?
Sirius, yeah,
Yeah.
Sirius. So it's in I think number four or three, one of them. But he's afraid that he's more like the Dark Wizard because he has tendencies like the Dark Wizard.
Mm.
He's like, and he is his godfather looks at him. He's like, it's we all have dark and light within us. You can't just neatly divide that, and you have that light. And to some degree he says that what you ultimately what you choose to bring out in the world is what determines what you do, a
I
version
love
of
that.
that. and
Yeah.
I, and I like that's I always point that out to my kids. I'm like, that's the best part. That's the best scene. but and it's easy to see just the darkness. It's easy just to see the negative, but it's very hard to look for the positive. One, because our mind is wired to protect us from any kind of negativity.
Yeah, this is actually a really important point for coaches too. It's like the baby things that are sabotaging you that you're not even aware of, that are creating resistance. And this is what I mean about emotional sustainability. It's really hard to build a coaching business when part of you doesn't believe in the things that are needed to build that coaching business as being good
Yeah.
things, right? And so I think the solution for me was deciding to build it in a certain positive way, like deciding to be build it in a way that has full of light in the Harry Potter. Like there are definitely corrupt businesses out there, but I'm not going to be one of those. I'm going to do it in a way that is not corrupt, that feels good to me, that follows my values and ethics, and that still has a sustainable business model to it, which is a little harder. I would say it's harder to build, especially in the short term, but longer term, that's a competitive advantage.
Yeah. Not only that, let's look at it from a bigger social impact point of view or moral point of view
Hmm.
or impact like and I always tell my clients, and I've seen both sides of it, is like the person who's about to make a bunch of money and have a bunch of power and influence, they're not giving this two thoughts. They're going out there and doing it at any which way. Good, you have a moral compass, but don't allow that moral compass to not allow you to create resources that you're going to use for good. Because you will not have the right to complain about people who are using their power to corrupt everybody around them because you never put any effort in this process.
Which actually brings up a moral imperative for us as people who want to make the world better. As coaches, we have a desire to make people's lives and therefore the world better, and there's a ripple effect. We actually have an obligation to put our resources and effort into things that are positive, that are making a difference. So sometimes we get
Yeah.
stuck in resistance and we worry about, oh, what will people think? Or like, what if I make a mistake? Or, whatever the case, whatever the reason that we avoid things is often more powerful than the motivation to make a difference, which should be more powerful ultimately for us to make that difference, right? And so like part of it is staying in touch with your motivations, which is another little lesson is like if you stay in the game and have sessions on your calendar, you have coaching conversations over and over again, you are constantly reminded of the power and the value of what you're doing and the goodness you're bringing into the world. Whether you get paid or not, it's a really important emotional sustainability there, to continue to have those experiences for your own subconscious and your own mindset.
Yeah, for sure. So I want to share a couple of them that are really important that has stood out for me. The
Go ahead.
number one that came to mind for me was consistency beats perfection. What or more like consistency beats the idea of perfection. I don't know what that is in reality, but we all have this idea of when I refine my video that I put out, when I figure out my business plan, when I figure out my website, when I figure out my funnel, when I whatever you add to it. And all of it goes back to one thing. It's that there's a part of us that's scared to consistently put yourself out there in your raw, vulnerable, unpolished manner out in the world. And again, that was my struggle in the beginning. And the more I tried to do it in the beginning, the more resistance I felt.
Hmm.
But I understood one thing. My two things that I had that helped me in this process. My vision and purpose was much bigger than my fears, and I had to make a decision between them. Because it was bigger, I'm like, you know what? What's more important? The resistance. First of all, I had to accept the resistance that I feel was actually fear. Whatever thought came up, I'm like, no, that sounds like procrastination. That sounds like fear. That sounds like that, even though it sounded logical in the moment. But there was a discomfort in the process. I'm like, this is worth the life that I'm going to create for me and my family, and this is worth the impact I'm going to create. This temporary discomfort that I have for the next few months, the next few weeks, the next year is worth it. And even with that decision, I had to kind of go forward, one step forward, two steps back, and I had to keep doing that until that stops being it was one step back, and then two steps forward, one step back, and three steps forward, and then eventually it just became part of my process. And I realized in the process two things. One, courage, which was a decision I had to make, and two, resilience, which is the definition of it is that how fast can you get up when
You
you're
can't be in the
emotionally
coaching business for
affected.
10 years without resilience. Yeah.
It's like, and it was an experiential process. I couldn't teach that through a book, and this is why coaches reading 100 books and bringing that into their coaching session does not work. coaching in theory rarely works because what will show is your energy. Do you have the energy of courage? Not from your story 20 years ago when you made something happen, but are you actually taking risky actions that you believe in now? And are you working on, and you don't need to be perfect, are you working on that resilience? Because that will communicate faster than any perfectly structured question or perfectly framed concept to the client.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is actually something you can demonstrate in the coaching sales process. As you meet people, as you connect with people, as you have discovery sessions, you can demonstrate the courage that you're having, both through how you interact with them and how you run the sales process, as well as the coaching, but also as demonstrations in your own life of what you're working on, how you're showing up, right? Just
Yeah.
as you're saying, Faisal. I think my version of this lesson was adjacent to this, and I call it, practice makes progress,
Mhm.
instead of practice makes perfect, because like there's no such thing as perfect. The point is it's a practice and you make progress every time you do something more and more consistently. It's like I call it muscle reps. And also I teach this concept to clients, which is like these are just muscle reps you need to do with this thing you're working on. And we're not here for perfection, we're here for progress. So are you making progress? Are you taking steps forward? Are you trying things? And because of that, the piece of this lesson I want to share is that a process matters, right? Like what's the thing that you do every time? What's the consistency that you have? And where is that consistency gonna improve? Where does it need to improve? For example, like I noticed a shift for me recently in the last, few weeks, months even. I've been more consistent about asking about referrals during my discovery sessions, during my follow-up calls with people. Just who else do you know that would love an experience like the one you've had? And that consistency has led to more referral inputs from people. And then that consistency of telling them how to do that referral process and then meeting with those people that they're referring. That's actually improved my referrals for sure. An area where I could improve on my consistency, which is, our session today with our pro members, we talked about testimonials. And I know I have a huge opportunity there to really level up the process by which I collect and display testimonials, right? And just as another lesson, you don't actually need to have much social media or testimonials or anything to build clientele because your network will speak for you. There's this whole movie that Will Smith is in called Hitch, where he is like this dating coach, and he actually has a premium service where he only is referral only, and he's like under the radar. You could be that, but it's not as effective perhaps to have no online presence, especially in the direction the world's going and how easy it is to have an online presence these days. It's better to have an online presence, for example, but you could just through the power of your network and the value that you can deliver, build up clientele that way. And most coaches, they don't need 100 clients. They need a handful, maybe a dozen clients, depending on how they're doing their work. And those people will be a source of referrals. So it's like ultimately the process you're using, whether it's are you asking for referrals? Are you doing testimonials? Are you following up? How do you do your discovery sessions? How do you do your connection? How do you do your communication? What's your protocols for these things? And what have you learned to turn into muscle memory? That's what gives you a process, and then the process is what gives you something to practice, and that consistency will make progress. But there's a lot of pieces of this puzzle, so it's complex
So,
and it's hard.
well, let's make it simple before a coach hears this and says, I need to consistently watch a bunch of videos. No, you don't need to do that. So
Right.
here are the three things you can consistently do that will actually build your business forward. If you just did do these three things, I'd be shocked in the next 90 days that you don't have clients. One is consistently put yourself out there. That could be online, in person, ideally a mix of the two in the beginning stages. Consistently means multiple times a week, putting yourself out there, sharing your message, saying that I have a program, saying that I have a coach. That's your marketing side, visibility. The second one is your consistency in reaching out to people. Make it a consistent practice to reach out to at least 20, 30 people every week and follow up with each of them multiple times, at least 4 or 5 times. Reach out to 20, 30 people and follow up with each of them multiple times. Consistently have conversations booked on your calendar as a result of that, so that you're tracking that. How many conversations do I have booked on my calendar? Those could be connection calls, discovery calls, strategy calls. And finally, you're consistently actually maybe 2 points. Consistently making offers and asking for testimonials and referrals. But if you remove testimonials and referrals, just did offers in the beginning, you're consistently making offers. That will move your business. Most coaches are not putting themselves out there consistently. If they're doing that, they're not reaching out to people one-on-one and following up with them. If they are doing that, they're not making offers consistently. But if they did all those three things, and as a bonus, you're asking for referrals and testimonials, you'll have a business in 90 days.
But what you're describing, Faisal, I want to clarify this for everybody. If you're spending all your time watching videos and learning and not doing what he just described,
Yeah.
that's a process that you're following. You're following watch videos and learn. Watch videos and learn. The process you need to be following is what he just said, which is have conversations and make offers and all the stuff that he just talked about. That's a process that you need to practice and build muscle reps on. That's probably the biggest lesson I think of all is what the right process is, which is what you just described. That lesson, took me way too long to learn.
Yeah, which leads us to my final point, at least, is that, and this is the cold, hard truth that is hard to avoid, but it's also easy to be delusional about. And that is that your skill sets determine how many clients you get, how many clients give you referrals, how many testimonials you get. Your skill sets have a huge bearing on that. That is the quality of your service, product. And the easy way to know this, first of all, if you haven't even done any sessions with people, you can pretend that you're a great coach or a good coach, but it's a delusion. And a lot of coaches have that, by the way. I had it in the beginning. The second piece is if you've done at least 10 discovery calls or 15 or 20, have you gotten referrals? Have you gotten testimonials? Have you gotten people sign up? If you have none of those, then there's something off about your coaching skill sets and process. We actually we're one of the few communities, maybe even one community on the business development side that we actually assess our coaches' skill set level. We put them in a room and we watch how they coach and we give them feedback. And all of them are under the illusion that they're a really good coach, and they keep saying that to themselves. And they theoretically they are, but it's like somebody who has read everything about riding a bicycle and think I'm an expert on bicycle, but let's put you on a bicycle and see what happens. And ride it. And the only people who can tell that are people who have actually tried that. And there are lots of coaches who are on other coaches who also believe that they're good coaches, but they've never put themselves out there, never offered anything to other people. And they will reassure them that you're a good coach because they've been in a coaching session, but it's very different when you're offering something to someone. So the cold hard look is that you're not getting money in the bank, you're not getting referrals, you're not getting testimonials. And if you're not, the question is not that, oh, how come people don't understand my coaching? The question is, how can I get better in this process?
I felt aggrieved at the stage of my career where that was happening a lot. I felt offended. Like, don't they understand how valuable this is? No, they don't. And that's the problem. They don't, because it's not valuable enough for them to understand it. And also, the process did not automatically extract what's valuable and take advantage of that information to craft a collaborative coaching program. Like, I didn't understand that. And I will caveat what you said, Faisal, with like, people who think they're good coaches, they are good coaches relative to certain levels of their skill sets that they didn't have, in the past. But relative to what they could be, they're not, right? And like a great barometer, because this is about back to our original point, back to sustainability of the business. If you don't have those referrals, testimonials, and clients, then there's a sustainability issue. And so you have to think about what's missing, what's the skill set that's missing, and process is a skill set too. But the room that we put the coaches in that Faisal was talking about is called a coaching and sales clinic, because coaching skills and sales skills are actually the same thing. And this is another lesson that we should probably share. That to me now seems like pretty clear and obvious, but it's not clear and obvious to most people, is that coaching skills and sales skills are actually the same thing. There's a lot of overlap, because a lot of the time you're selling clients on what they want because they forget. And they get distracted and they get afraid. And so you're really reselling their vision back to them a lot. But also in the coaching sales process, you have to demonstrate that you can do that for them. And so there's a skill set there, and being willing to take the courage, as we talked about before, and make the offer, make the invitation, I like to call it, rather than an offer, make that invitation. Like, let's work together so we can do this. There's a skill set of that sales skills that demonstrates your coaching sales skills. And I got work to do there. We all have work to do there to improve. But the bare minimum you need to make it a coaching business is to have those clients that sign up, to have those referrals that come out, and those testimonials to make it sustainable.
Yeah. And a lot of when it comes to this area, a lot of coaches, when they get stuck here, you know what they do? They go and sign up for a course around money blocks. They go and
Been
sign up
there,
for a
done that.
course around, I've done it too. They go and sign up for
Yeah.
a course or a program around, there's something about my mindset. And they will do all that stuff. And that might be true. But the problem is that until you actually put your offer out there, no matter how uncomfortable you are, and somebody exchanges their hard-earned money for the value that you've demonstrated for them and the potential value of your program, nobody knows. Even the experts in business don't know if your program is valuable. You do not have enough data, and you cannot determine that my coaching is valuable. People just don't understand it. No, people understand it very well, because they will decide at the end of a call, when you make an offer, whether or not this is going to bring them the value or not. Either you're lacking the communication, you're lacking the skill set to help them see the value of it, or you're lacking the network to move forward. All of them require you to actually put yourself out there. And while you're doing that, you can do your mindset programs and all the other things, but you cannot do it without those actions. Because when you do that, then you're in that spiral of
Just a
watching the
distraction.
course. It becomes a distraction. It doesn't become something that you can actually actively use.
That's called avoidance techniques. And it's so subtle sometimes, like, oh, this is the one thing that will totally change the game for me. I'm going to go do that to avoid the thing that I have a real hard time with, which is
Yeah.
following up,
Yeah.
making offers. So,
And ultimately, I'll say this at the end, is the biggest thing that I've learned over the past 10, 11 years is that this business, this coaching practice has pushed me to continue to become a better and better leader. It's pushed me to face my own discomforts. It's pushed me to see things that I didn't want to see about myself, my thoughts, my beliefs. It's pushed me to be better in my relationships with those around me and in my network. It hasn't pushed me to be perfect, far from it. It has just pushed me to be humble and be open enough to growth. And whenever I have feedback, I'm open to that now, because I know that I'm missing something that I'm not aware of.
so true. I love that. And that's, one of the biggest benefits of coaching is that it turns you into a better leader for yourself and for others around you. And whether it's your business, your team, your friends, your family, your social circles, your network, you become a better leader for them, a better friend, uh, better, um, a better human at times because you actually are able to apply in the real world all your strong values without holding it to yourself, right? You're both building yourself up and building other people up at the same time. I think that's a human development activity. But my last lesson is really around the value of community. And like the value of community is so high because coaching is a very lonely business at times if you don't have that. If you're just like out in a Facebook community and you're not actually engaging with people on a regular basis, you're not showing up live to calls, you're not showing up with people that you know and trust, you start to lose momentum. It's really hard to stay engaged because the journey is so tough emotionally. And I used to also want to do everything myself, and I resisted and resisted hiring people. Including coaches. And then, one of the other lessons as part of community is support. You need support as a coach. You need support. You need to have a coach. You need to have a community. You need to have colleagues, both who are ahead of you and behind you on the building a business timeline. I think it's really, really valuable. And thank God I have CMC because like I would have never been able to, I think, sustain the coaching plan for myself if I didn't have CMC. So I want to thank you too for, being part of this journey with me and for all of our past, past business members, as well as, members who are in our community as well now. I feel like that has been a sustaining source for me too. Just having those people around me, people that I can learn from, people that I can, help learn, people that I can work with and collaborate. The business partnership you and I have now, Faisal, has been phenomenally growth oriented for me. So I appreciate that tremendously, which is just like the point. Don't try to do this in isolation. Have a community. CMC is a great community. If you like what we've talked about today, I really invite you to join our free Facebook community, CMC That Coach. But show up to our events. So we have workshops, which we don't do like super often, but we do them. Show up to our events. Sign up for our paid communities. Be a part of the community that will support you on that next level in your business. That's what I would encourage everybody to do, whether it's us or somebody else. But just have that place where you're showing up live and
Yeah,
knowing
for
and getting
sure.
to know people for real relationships.
And I echo all those things. Without a community of coaches, I wouldn't have moved forward just because of marketing programs or business programs or all kinds of programs that I went through. And I always share this in my talks to coaches, and I always tell them the reason why I'm a better coach and my business is doing better is because I always feel like I have like 100 coaches behind me in a given session. And I say that because I've learned so much from so many coaches. I think observed at this point 200 plus sessions, my sessions, other people's sessions, and different modalities, so many different ways that I'm able to navigate them, and I'm able to navigate them confidently because of the experience that I've gained from other people, watching other people, the models around me, and I'm super thankful for that. Because had I not done that, then it's just my experience, my perspective, or some theory from a book that is useful. But watching coaching business practices live as a model, so different. And that only happens when you're in a community when people are actively discussing these things.
And I love that's one thing that I love about our community.
Yeah.
So, hey, thanks for sharing today, Faisal. Really appreciated hearing your perspectives
You
on
too.
it.
And
So,
which one, if you're listening to this, which one of these stood out for you? Share that below with us, whether it's on the Facebook Live or later on when we post it in the podcast. Definitely join our free community, cmc.coach, where we actually broadcast these live. This is live, and it gets edited later, a few weeks later, it gets posted on our podcast. And definitely share this with any coach that might be struggling or working to grow and they're plateaued or they feel stuck, because it'll help them. Because all these lessons, we learned them much later on, and we learned them among other coaches who are struggling as well, and they're based on a lot of experience.
awesome. Well, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on the Coach's Journey podcast. And in the meantime, keep on coaching and keep building that practice and building those reps and having coaching conversations. And we'll see you on the next episode.